Okay. So I wanted to discuss two things that are kind of separate on very for different reasons. The one thing is I like AI. I'm not gonna lie. I've been using Meta AI recently. It's on the phone because I don't have like the glasses or anything like that. I kind of want those glasses now. I'm not gonna lie, but I like Meta AI. It's a little odd because when I speak to her, because I use the vocal or the speech to text. No, not speech to text. I just talk to it. You know what the fuck I'm talking about. Um, when I use that, she doesn't understand necessarily the words that I'm saying. Like she'll you can see what it's reading or what it's hearing, and a lot of times it looks weird. Like it's like what is that? There's like random words that I didn't say or she misheard what I said. But for somehow, even though she's mishearing the words, she seems to understand the context or like the whole concept in general. Um, Sponsored by Arizona. um, yeah, so I find that interesting, and what brought one of the things that I'm bringing this up for, and why saying I really like AI is because I had like this interaction with somebody online, and they were giving me advice, and arrogant or egotistical me kind of took offense to the advice they were giving because like I kind of felt like what they were telling me was like basic knowledge, and like I almost felt insulted that they didn't think I knew this. um, I didn't respond. It wasn't like I went back and like messaged them mad or anything. um, I responded calmly because I mean, again, I knew their intention wasn't bad. Like I knew they weren't intending it badly, and that's kind of where it made me realize like this shift in perspective that I had was that like I had this idea. I was like, like I feel like the problem that I face when I interact with people is that I kind of just assume whatever knowledge that I learn is just common knowledge. Like I'm just kind of I always assume that I'm catching up to people. Like um, I don't know where that kind of stems from. I think maybe it's you know I don't know where it stems from. Maybe uh, not there's like not the word humility, but like there's like a word because humility sounds like a good thing, but this I think stems from something a little bit less positive. Um, Maybe what's the word? I can't think of the word. Maybe I'll use Meta AI to find out later. but um, but yeah, so I just kind of assume that any knowledge that I have is common, and I noticed that I tend to not give people advice or like try to like answer people's questions because I kind of just assume or not answer people's questions because if they ask a question I'll answer it, but I don't give people advice a lot of times because I assume that what I know they know, so I can't really offer them anything new, and but my cut mm, uh, the person I was interacting with doesn't assume that, and they gave me advice which again it was with good intention and stuff, but their advice was then again, I can't say that it was common knowledge. That's just my perspective of it. It could be that it's not common knowledge. Um, but the point is that they gave me advice, and to them, they they weren't scared to share their advice. I guess they were under the idea that I didn't know this, and so yeah, it was just that concept I had. And then to bring this back to the AI, when I realized that kind of that split in like self perception or the perception of our own understandings of kind of things, I just kind of told that to the Meta AI. I was like, I want to further elaborate on the idea that some people perceive their knowledge as common knowledge, while others will perceive their knowledge as uncommon knowledge, and that's almost word for word what I told it, because I like again like dictation. I think that's what it's called. But anyways, um, that's what I told it, and from that it just like oh boom, it brought up two different concepts that very much described what I was saying. The concepts were kind of they were different concepts, and I didn't really understand how she made that connection because one of them was kind of more obvious, but the other one I wasn't really sure. And and it felt like it was like a more like a vague connection. It wasn't like a very direct connection. But the first concept was the curse of knowledge, which is, I guess, it was coined by economists Colin Kamir, George Lowenstein, and Martin Weber. And I didn't. I mean, I had known about like, I guess the concept of the curse of knowledge, but I didn't know the name of it, and I didn't know who coined it. The only reason I kind of knew about it was because when I watched videos on YouTube on how to learn, like how to do things, I always type in like how to do something for beginners, and they always like, oh, beginner this, beginner that, but then there's always like a lot of information that you don't know as a beginner, and they're just kind of assuming you already know it. And I think that's a lot of times the curse of knowledge. People who are trying to share their knowledge on things online or through videos, they forget what really a beginner really knows, and they kind of assume that their baseline is like where their baseline was, or like they kind of just they disconnect from that. Um, and then she brought up the the Dunning Kruger effect as another topic. I say she, but because it's just a female voice, but I'm very much aware that AI is just a robot or just an algorithm. But the point is, um, she brought the Dunning Kruger effect. That Dunning Kruger effect, I don't know if it was necessarily. I think it was. I guess still think it was a kind of like a reach. She was saying how it could be associated, or it could be that because some people overestimate their knowledge, and so like what they think is like new knowledge or kind of more of a, not to say profound knowledge, but like it just something that's new to people is actually really not that new, and it's pretty common knowledge. So they're kind of like, it's kind of like the exact opposite of the or the curse of knowledge. Um, because the curse of knowledge is people who know a lot assume that everyone else kind of knows the same as them, and so they, but then the Dunning Kruger is that people who don't know a lot overestimate how much they know, and in reality, what they know isn't actually a lot. So I guess it's just two different ways of perceiving the same concept, depending on how you want to perceive it. Um, but yeah, so again, just found it really interesting how I was able to feed it just kind of like a very vague idea of something, and it was able to like help me kind of better understand this concept, like just by giving me both the name of the concept, the people who coined it, the Dunning Kruger effect. I've already known about. It's on social media. A lot of people always post it, and to get sidetracked, to kind of rant a little bit on the Dunning Kruger effect. I don't like it. I hate the Dunning Kruger effect. Not the effect itself. We had no control over that effect, but I hate the the awareness of the effect. Like the fact that it's become like a concept that people are aware of now and kind of like talk about, because I kind of feel like, I don't know if a catch-22 is the right word or not. I don't think that's a right like reference. But the point of what I see is I feel like people who are very confident will use that the whole Dunning Kruger effect to kind of like tell people, or like in a like I guess you could say in a I don't say backhanded way. That doesn't sound like the right term, but it's like a way for them to like say, "Oh, I'm smart," kind of like without really saying it, just by kind of bringing up the fact that they know the Dunning Kruger effect. And then people who are humble are just stuck in a perpetual cycle of self doubt because, like they're now aware of the concept, and they're always like, "Fuck, like where do I fall on that spectrum?" Like, and then they're always like doubting if they actually are smart, or are they just really dumb and think they're smart. And so like, like the confident people will just kind of assume that they're smart, regardless of whether they actually are or not. And then like more humble people are gonna be like, maybe not humble is the right word. Maybe, I don't know, but I like the term humble. Will kind of always be in a perpetual doubt of that, like they're always gonna believe that they're in the bottom end, and and that's pretty much my frustration with the Dunning Kruger effect, or like the awareness of the Dunning Kruger effect. And yeah, thank you for dealing with the sidetrack. But that was what I wanted to say about that one. But yeah, so AI, it could be used for some pretty cool stuff. At the least, better expanding your understanding of concepts. Um, I totally kind of understand some people's frustration with AI. I definitely kind of get disappointed. I'm not gonna lie, because like it could be used for such cool things, like I just kind of said right now, I guess I'm kind of putting myself on a pedestal, but like, just being able to elaborate on ideas and further your understanding of stuff, it's really cool. But when I go on Meta AI and you can kind of see what people post, like their kind of like uses of it, it's always just like pictures of things. Like people generate a random picture of some cats doing something, or like some weird scene, or like it just feels like it's being wasted. Like it really feels like people are wasting the AI capabilities. Um, and yeah, and I don't want to get into the whole art side of AI and like that stuff because I probably will at some point in the future. Definitely, I definitely have an opinion on it for sure. And it's put simply, it's probably not the direction you're assuming. Well, I guess it depends whether you know me or not. But either way, I definitely have an opinion on art and AI. I have an opinion on art as a top, like as a genre as a whole, regardless of AI. Um, but that'll be for another video. Um, Maybe once I've done more, I don't want to get into any videos that are like a little too heavy before better like kind of expressing myself in other ways, because I feel like if you don't understand me as a person first, you might take what I say in like poor context. I guess that's the point. Like I want to better establish my context of me as a person before I go into like other topics. Um, but yeah, so and I kind of know how I know how this kind of made me sound. It was definitely, I think it definitely made me sound a bit arrogant because from what I had described earlier, I definitely, I guess, view myself as a person who I guess was a curse of knowledge or whatever, or um, I didn't really see it that way when I first thought of the concept at first until I talked to Meta about it, and then I realized that, oh, that's kind of how I see myself. Um, and I don't. I mean, I still kind of hesitant to see myself in that light. I'm not gonna lie, because again, like for me, it's always more of like a self doubt type of thing. Um, like I just kind of assume what I know is common knowledge, and I always kind of doubt that I know anything more than other people. Um, but I guess it could be that way as well. It could be part of me maybe just arrogant and just assumes that. Well, I guess the it's not arrogant. The arrogance comes from, I guess, me labeling myself under that thing, or at least perceiving myself to be under that category. Because, like, I guess it's kind of like the same thing as like the Dunning Kruger effect. Like, there's nothing wrong with people kind of falling into that, the fact, like, oh, they're smart enough to know that they don't know enough. But when people say it to themselves, they say it out loud. Oh yeah, I'm smart enough to know that I don't know much or whatever. Like, it's like that's when it kind of gets arrogant, And so, yeah, I mean, I'm getting sidetracked. Um, Again, if you're interested, I feel like I should say this now from now on to kind of better establish my channel. But if you enjoy this type of conversation and ideas that I kind of, I guess, bring to the table, I mean, not to assume. I was about to be like, not to assume that they're new ideas. Again, um, I think it comes from a fear of coming across as arrogant. That's maybe what it is, cause yeah. But anyways, if you do enjoy this type of things, consider subscribing. Um, it's not this video. This channel's not gonna be all about this. There will be probably just some more lighthearted, just things to do with my plants and plant videos and my ukulele learning. Um, I was considering doing a ukulele type of thing, or not ukulele, but like a music thing, where like I would have a video of me learning music by watching other videos and like or reading things online, and kind of doing like, how people like do like a react to type of thing to like other content, but rather than like a react to is more like learn alongside, because sometimes I feel like it'd be cool maybe to like watch those videos and kind of see somebody else also struggle to understand things, because sometimes you watch those videos and think, oh man, am I the only person who doesn't understand this? And so like maybe somebody else not understanding it alongside you would be kind of cool. But I mean, if you think that's a cool idea, let me know in the comments. And you know, I probably won't be able to start from the beginning because I already do have a bit, and I don't really want to fake my pretending not to understand things. So if I do start this series, it will probably be somewhere in like a little bit past the beginning because I do have a little bit more experience now that I've kind of been practicing on my own. Um, but yeah, consider subscribing. I will see you whenever a new idea pops into my head, or when I feel like playing my ukulele.